Hi, this is Gary with MACMOST.com. Can't remember where that saved or downloaded file is located? Let's see if we can find it. So if you created a document and then saved it and then later on can't remember where it is, or maybe you downloaded something from a web page and now you can't find it, this is a common problem that a lot of people have, both beginners and experienced users. First, let's talk about prevention. The way to avoid this problem is to note where you save your files and make sure you put them in a good location. So for instance, I'm here in Pages and I've just created a new document and typed my first line of text. Now let's say I want to save it now. I can go to File, Save, or Command S. When I do this, brings up the Save dialog. This allows me to name the file and decide where it's going to be saved. So let's name it something really simple here and then look closely next to where to see where it's going to be saved. In this case, it's going to save it to my last used location, the last time I saved a file, which is my Documents folder. So I could click here and select another location. So I want to save it somewhere that makes sense, and I also want to note that location. So I remember that this file is saved to, say, my Documents folder. Now, this is the compact version of the Save dialog. If I click this little button here, it expands into the full version, which is what you may see. So now I can decide using that same pull-down menu where the file is going to be saved. But I could also select a location in the left sidebar, or I can navigate around in this area here in the main part of the Save dialog. So for instance, if I want to save it in this folder right here, I can double-click that folder to dive down into it. So now I could see where the file is going to be saved in this folder called Current Stuff. I want to make sure this is the right place for the file and also note its location. As a matter of fact, if I click here, notice how it gives me a path all the way up. I've got the Current Stuff folder, which is in the Documents folder, which is in iCloud Drive. So you can get the full picture of exactly where this file is going to be located. Then when I click Save, it will save it into that folder. By the way, if you find these videos valuable, consider joining the more than 2,000 others that support MacMost at Patreon. You get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You can read about it at macmost.com/Patreon. Now let's say I close this document and I want to find it again. Well, one way to find it is to use the Finder, which is how you manage your files. I'm going to go down to the dock here and click on Finder, which will open a new Finder window if there isn't already one there. Now I want to go back to where I remember saving the file, which would be in the Documents folder, and I actually have it here in the left sidebar so I could easily access documents. I could also use Go and then to Documents. It'll take me to the same location. And there's that folder, Current Stuff, that I remembered using to save that file. So I'm going to double click that to dive down in, and then I see all the files there, and there, sure enough, is the file. I can now double click it to open it. Now another option I've got is to relaunch the app, in this case Pages, where I was before. And chances are it might give me a open dialog, which is kind of the opposite of the Save dialog. It allows you to open a file. And it may show the actual location where I last saved something. If not, I can select this pull-down menu here and find that folder and go to it. And there's my file. But I could also go to the File menu, and in most apps you're going to find Open Recent. And here it'll list the last few files that you worked with. So chances are if this is something you just worked with earlier today, yesterday, or this week, it's going to be in this list. And you can select it here and it will open the file. If you use that because you didn't remember where you saved it, you may want to go up to the title here and then click on it. And this will show you the name here and also its location. And you can click here to see where you've saved it. So you can note that for next time. If it's not saved to a good location, you can go to File and then Move To. And now you get that same little pull-down menu here, and you can change this location to something else. If you go all the way to the bottom, there's Other, and now you can select any location you want. So for instance, I can go up from Current Stuff to Documents here, and maybe select another folder, like this Business folder, and then click Move to move it here. So that's where I'll find it next time. But you could also use the Finder to search for a file. So I'm going to click on the Finder icon here in the dock. It'll open a new Finder window, or I could use File, New Finder Window to do that. And let's say it takes me somewhere and I don't see the file that I need. So I want to first start somewhere that makes sense. perhaps my documents folder. If I at least know that I probably saved it somewhere in my documents folder, I can start here. So now I want to click on the search icon, which you'll find at the top right corner of the Finder window. Click on that, and now I want to type something to search. I'm going to use a portion of the name. I may not remember the exact name, but I remember this word was in it. And then I could select Name Contains. And now it was going to look in that location where I started, in this case the Documents folder, and then look for the file. In this case, it's found it. If it hasn't found it, I may want to expand the scope of the search to this Mac, and it's going to search everywhere at all the drives connected to the Mac. And so if it wasn't in my Documents folder, it's likely to have found it now. There it is. And note that if I can't remember the name of the file at all, I could search for some contents. So I can click here and then search for some text like that, and then select Content Contains. And then you could see here with this Mac selected, it finds my file, even though I didn't use the name of the file. And even if you don't remember the name or the contents of the file, you could go to File, Find, and then search by date. So I could use last modified date or created date or last open date. Let's just use last modified date, so the last time that a change was made to the file. And then I could select one of these, like this week or exactly this day or after a certain day. I'm going to do within the last, say, 3 days. And it's going to find everything that was modified in the last 3 days. I can click the plus button here on the right, and I can further refine the search by selecting kind is a document. So it's not going to show me folders and apps and other things. And I can check here to make sure it's searching the entire Mac, not just one folder. And I could sort by, like, say, name, or what makes more sense here is date last opened. And I could see here right at the top, it's found a document, the most recent open document, and that looks like the one I want. I can double click it to open it or use the space bar to bring up Quick Look to get a preview of the file without opening it and confirm that, yes, this is the file that I want. I can close Quick Look and now double click here to open the file. And now I can click here, see where it was saved, and use File, Move To put it in a better location so I can find it next time. Now, how about instead of a file you created, you downloaded a file from the internet? For instance, here's a page with the download link. I'm going to click on that link, and it's going to download the file. So now that that's done, I'm going to figure out where the file is. So the first place I want to look is in Safari, and then Settings, and then go to General here at the top. Then look for File Download Location. And this is where files get downloaded to. So you can see in this case, it saves to the Downloads folder. But I could change it to Other or Ask for each download, although that doesn't work for some kinds of downloads on the web. So you still want to make sure your default download location is set to something useful. The Downloads folder is the typical default location. So if I return here to the Finder and then look in the left sidebar, I may see Downloads there. But even if I don't see it there, I can use that Go menu and then go to Downloads. And this will take me to my Downloads folder, and there's the file. Now note, when you go to download something and it's a regular download link like this, you can control click on it, 2-finger click on the trackpad or right click on the mouse, and then select Download Linked File As. Doing that brings up something that looks just like a save dialog, and you could decide where this file goes and save it to the proper location right away instead of putting it in the Downloads folder with maybe a whole bunch of other stuff. And note, when I did click this link, I got a little animation that went from here to this button. This is another way to find your most recent downloads. If you click here, it's going to show all your most recent downloads. And then you can click this little magnifying glass here. It'll open up a new Finder window and take you right to the file. But if you downloaded a file, say, a few days ago, you may not find it here. It may not be in this list at all. If you go to Safari and then Settings, and then back to General, there is Remove Download List Items right here. And you can see in this case, it's set to after 1 day. So it's perfectly normal for something you downloaded yesterday not to appear in that list. It doesn't mean the file is missing at all. It's just no longer in this handy little reference list in Safari. And one thing that trips up a lot of people is using this Recents folder here. If I select that and look, I could see there is that Pages file I was working on. But where's that file I downloaded? It's not here. That's because this shows you documents that you recently opened. You can see how it even sorts by date last opened to show you your most recently opened file. The reason it hasn't shown me that download is I've never opened the download. I just downloaded it, haven't even looked at it yet. Now, if you still can't find your file using any of those methods, including searching for it, then your next option is to hunt for it. So manually look through your files. So a good place to start is use the Go menu and go Home, and then look at the folders you have here. You may see documents at desktop here or not. They may be in iCloud Drive, but you'll see other folders like movies and pictures. And you can go into these. Just double click to go into them, see what's there. You can go into other folders here. You can go back with this back button or use Command up arrow to go up. And then you could dive down into other folders. Another way to go up, hold the Command key and then select a level to go up to. If you've searched through your home folder and you can't find it, next is to try iCloud Drive. And here I've got my Documents folder in iCloud Drive, so I can go down into that, go down into different folders where I suspect the file may be located and look for it. Another place to look is in iCloud Drive, and then look at some of these other folders at the top level. For instance, there's one for Pages. A lot of apps like to create folders here at this top iCloud Drive level, and sometimes they use that as the default location for saving things. So if you're just searching in your Documents folder, you may miss a file that's actually in the Pages folder, and you can look in here just to see if it's there. So if you haven't found your file now, you may be out of luck. It's not where you thought you put it. You couldn't find it in the recent documents for that app. You couldn't find it with various different searches, and just looking around in your different folders didn't turn it up. It could be simply that the file is named something different than you thought. So you want to go back and do these, expanding your search and thinking about the contents of the file or what it could be called. But definitely next time you save a file, remember to name it well and save it to a location where you'll know you'll find it. At the very least, save it to the top level of the Documents folder until you find a better place. The same thing for downloads. Save it to the Downloads folder if you can't think of a better place at that moment. But then when it's convenient, maybe move it into the Documents folder, into a subfolder that makes sense. So I hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, click the thumbs up button below to let me know. I publish new tutorials each weekday. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out.